celebration.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. Tonight we're gonna sing in exaltation.
Oh, yeah.
Tonight we're gonna dance in celebration. For tomorrow we must fight.
Ilekeao, mafi shekeo. Ilekeao, mafi shekeo. Ilekeao, mafi shekeo. Ilekeao, mafi shekeo.
Umoja, unity, to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race.
Umoja, unity. Kujichagulia, self-determination. To define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves.
Kujichagulia, self-determination. Ujima, collective work and responsibility. To build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems, and to solve them together.
Ujima, collective work and responsibility. Ujama, cooperative economics. To build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together.
Ujama, cooperative economics. Nia, purpose. To make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness.
Nia, purpose. Kumba, creativity. To do always as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than when we inherited it.
Koumba, creativity. Imani, faith. To believe with all our heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle.
Imani, faith.
Ilekeao, mafi shekeo. Ilekeao, mafi shekeo.
Hello? Mom, is that you?
Can you hear me? Is the connection okay?
The connection is okay. I can hear you. Is everything all right?
No, nothing is wrong, at least not with the family. Just the world. Oh my God, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
What about the world? I told you I wanted to be off the grid, Mom.
Off the grid? Who are you? James Beckworth? The Agu family does not go off the grid. Anyway, have you heard about George Floyd's murder? My God, there's riots throughout the United States and the world, a pandemic that is rampant and killing thousands of people.
Slow down, Mom. Who's dying? The U.S. is under attack? I'll get on the next flight home.
It's too dangerous for a Black man to return to America. Turn on the news, baby. You might be safer staying in Ghana.
I am worried, Mom. You and Pop are okay, right?
Yes.
But I'm supposed to be back to teach my history class. I really wanted to share my adventures in Africa, but how can I do that now?
Well, thank God for technology, because most schools and businesses and restaurants are shut down for fear of the protesting COVID. But don't worry. When the university called me, I told them that you could teach your class online. Get ready, son, to go virtual. I know you can do it. Now get back on the grid.
Virtual class? Hello? Mom? Oh. What has she done now?
This is who?
Dr. Melekule, can you hear me?
The connection is not great. Yes, I can hear you. Okay. Melakule. Oh, I remember you well. How can I help?
Dr. Karinga, thank you for picking up. How are you?
Well, I'm fine. And you?
Yes, I'm fine. I've been in Ghana for a few months exploring my roots. I was ready to go home to teach my class, but the pandemic and the civil unrest has caused travel restrictions.
So you're all right. That's good. Good. Yes, yes. We're in shock, but not entirely surprised by the blatant violence against our black men and this deadly disease ravaging our people. As a matter of fact, I was just leaving the office so I could get home before the curfew because of the civil unrest.
Oh, okay, I will be brief. Now, I'm teaching American history now in a virtual classroom setting. It will be strange to engage students on a screen, so I need direction because I think American history will not hold the students' attention given what is going on in the world. Your lectures were always thought-provoking. Your guidance would help me with my approach and structure of my lesson plan.
Dr. Agu, this is the right time for the world to get a better understanding about cultural diversity. Use your platform to teach these students the truth about American history. Even our own community is not fully woke. More than ever, we need to implement the principles of Kwanzaa to help with healing our nation and finding solutions to end the systemic racism in the world, but especially here in America.
Oh, yes. I've been catching up with the world news and heard about George Floyd's senseless murder and how it has galvanized the world. I am sick of how we have to continue to live in fear because of the hatred by our so-called fellow Americans.
Believe me, I could go on and on about social injustice. It appears that the races are uniting in protest of Floyd's murder and other men and women across the country. Now, if you recall, I founded Kwanzaa after the Watts riots to encourage solidarity and continue the struggle for good in the world. I wanted our brothers and sisters to use the 7 days of Kwanzaa as a time of remembrance and reflection, reaffirmation and recommitment. I have always stressed that it is a philosophy that should be incorporated daily in our lives at all costs. Dr. Agu, we need to change the narrative, and you have the perfect moment to do that.
But the blatant social injustice that is apparent has made me more conscious in wanting to provide my students with cultural awareness of our ancestors. We need the students to be more aware of their past and that there is a plan for them for survival where guidelines are available for a better life if they could only open their eyes to the celebration and principles founded by you.
We all have different perspectives about how to survive in America, but do you remember what I taught you?
Yeah, of course. However, it has been some time.
Time should not fade what we must never forget. The blood our ancestors spilled on this land at the hands of men who never saw us as human beings.
Dr. Karenga, you have always been an inspiration for me. This is going to be one hell of a lesson plan that those students will never forget. Thank you for reminding me to take the more difficult path without fear. Please stay safe. My best to your family.
I can tell that your time in Ghana has opened your eyes. Some of your students may be uncomfortable with your direction to discuss the importance of Kwanzaa and talk about Africa, but we as a people have been uncomfortable all our lives in a country we were forced to adopt. Shake them up, Dr. Agu. Be safe.
Thank you. I hope my students are on time, but first I need to be ready to go virtual and get through this without embarrassing myself. Hello, everyone. Good morning for you, but it's early evening for me. I will explain later. I hope you are ready to learn and focus in my class in spite of the civil unrest because of the pandemic. I see some of you are wearing face masks. No need. Although it is good practice for our class, let's show our faces. Class, welcome to American history. I'm Professor Dr. Agu, and I am in Ghana. I traveled to Africa to trace my family's roots. I plan to be back in the States with the intention to be in the classroom with you, but all that has changed. As you may know, the civil unrest and COVID-19 contributed to the closure of the airports. So here I am teaching you from the motherland, and the time here is 7 hours ahead. Class, we cannot deny that the world changed in the blink of our eyes from the pandemic to civil unrest. I am revising the direction of the American history lessons. My former professor was ahead of time when he created Kwanzaa. His 7 principles may have reshaped the way people interact with one another. This class is about American history. But a large portion of American history has been intentionally omitted from textbooks and school lectures. Many of you may have unanswered questions or don't know what to ask to be fully informed. I plan to change that narrative and focus on the civil rights and Kwanzaa, which has shaped American history. Let's get started. Please introduce yourself so I can get to know you and to make sure you are in the right class. Also, take a look in the live chat for the revised curriculum that includes Kwanzaa.
It would have been helpful if we had received your curriculum before class started. I don't like surprises. No me gustan las sorpresas.
María, a mí tampoco me gusta. Pero a la luz de las circunstancias del mundo, especialmente en nuestro país, decide que tenemos que profundizar un poco más en la historia e incluir la cultura. To know how we got here is to learn more about civil rights and why Kwanzaa is needed more than ever. Life is about flexibility and keeping an open mind. Trust me, this will be worth it. I am reminded of the words of the civil rights activist John Lewis. If not now, when?
Hi, Dr. Agu. I'm Catherine Young. I'm glad that you're able to hold this lecture despite the riots and the pandemic. I need this class to graduate next spring.
Let's just hope and pray that we'll be able to complete the lecture without too much political interference.
Political interference, Dr. Agu? I can't imagine our government will step in and stop us from learning. Do you?
Well, not to start a debate on the first day of class, but our leadership is questionable and, to be honest, scary, especially for anyone not a Republican or a person of color. Next student.
Yes. Civil rights, Kwanzaa. This should be good. And I have my eye on 45. He may be on Twitter like a loose cannon, but I just ignore the rants. Dr. Agu, I'm Ryan Jones. I'm taking this class because it's a prerequisite for my degree in law. I'm an activist now, but I want the credentials to be a civil rights lawyer.
Ryan, we need people like you. You have definitely taken a step in the right direction by taking my class.
No, that's right. Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Agu. My name is Maria Martinez, and this is my first virtual class. Can you see me?
Maria, your light is a little bright, but we can all see you. We are all in this together. This is my first virtual lecture too. We will learn to adjust with the time.
I know. I'll be ready for my close-up. Gracias.
Civil rights and Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa sounds like a made-up name. Oh, should I call you Melecule or Mr. Agu? Let me guess. You've earned your doctorate degree in history. You, a black man, proud of your success. I guess I should refer to you as Dr. Agu.
You are a straight shooter, but you forgot to introduce yourself. What's your name?
Miles Green, and proud of it. Any questions?
Miles, first let me enlighten you. History is made by man. So yes, Kwanzaa qualifies under that category. Second, please call me Dr. Agu. I look forward to your contribution to my lectures. Moving on. Next.
Hi, I'm Minxin Wang. I am an exchange student from China. America's amazing. Your Black culture is so cool. I hope one day to visit Africa and check them out.
Minxin, welcome. Maybe you can teach me a thing or two about your perspective about the Black culture.
I'm so excited. Dr. Agu, I'm Penny Jones. I'm more into African studies than American history, so it was great to hear that you're including civil rights in Kwanzaa. I don't know enough about it.
Penny, it's nice to have open minds in my class. I promise to deliver.
Can't wait to get started.
Chris Hall here. I'm not a new student, but I've had a long absence because of other obligations. It's been a long struggle to continue my education, so I'm excited to get back into the saddle and take on this new world.
Chris, obligations must always come first, then your studies. For if you're not settled in your mind or your soul, you'll never be able to maintain peace within yourself. Welcome back.
I appreciate your understanding, Dr. Agu. Have mercy on me. I'm a little rusty.
Civil rights in Kwanzaa. This should be interesting. Dr. Agu, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Adab Abdallah. I'm honored to learn about Kwanzaa. For the students who do not know Assalamu alaikum, what it means is to be peace be upon you.
Mualaikum salam adab. Class, it means peace be also upon you. I'm glad to have you join us.
Likewise.
Wade in the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Last but not least, I'm Nolan Miller. I'm always interested in bettering myself. Gospel music is my life. Do you like gospel music, Dr. Agu?
Yes, I do. But you know, gospel music is good for one's soul. The songs make me happy, sad, or puts me on the right track when I've slipped away from God.
I would have never thought you would slip away from God. I grew up in the church, but I struggle with some of the teachings, especially on lifestyle.
We are all human and no one is really 100% pure with God. Therefore, we should embrace cultural differences and diversity.
Amen.
Plus, I appreciate your flexibility about the revised curriculum. American history has an ugly past. You may not know that racism was inherent in the makeup of the political leaders in the United States where Jim Crow laws were practiced. Civil rights are an important, if not the most important role in gaining freedom and equal rights for Blacks and other races. For those of you who do not know, Jim Crow laws were state and local laws dated back to the 1800s that enforced racial segregation in the southern United States.
Jim Crow laws? Was the name after a white supremacist?
Oh, no, Minxin. It was named after a white actor, Thomas Dartmouth, also known as Daddy Rice, who became famous performing minstrel routines. Jim Crow is a degrading name of a foolish Black slave. He was said to have seen an old Black man sing Jump Jim Crow, where he copied his songs and jokes, blackening his face to appear in his shows.
The white man in his discriminatory ways. I tell you, it makes me sick. Minstrel shows making fun of Blacks. And I I doubt the white man will ever change. My old neighborhood was constantly under attack by the police and extremists to keep us down.
They love niggers. That's why they copied their laws, their dances and music and implemented the term Jim Crow laws.
What?
What the fuck?
Did he just say that?
What the fuck did you just say, white boy?
What? I was
Where
just
the fuck I come
being
from?
realistic from
Did
the
you ask
time.
Beef for saying that shit, man. Miss Dr.
Ryan,
Arthur,
Mr.
you being
Calm
motherfucking
down
bitch
now.
for fuck.
Calm down. I am teaching a class without negativity, no degrading language, and the N-word. Miles, are you crazy? You, like many others, are misinformed and told only what the white man wants you to hear or repeat. Understand the predicament that blacks face without being ridiculed or called out their name.
What the hell? Why is everyone jumping all over me? The white man is ridiculed every day, including President Trump.
Man, you, like Trump, are damn fools, bro. You are.
45 has made fun of both blacks and whites. Regardless, there is no comparison of what the black community has been forced to endure. Miles, until you walk in our shoes, you have no right to minimize the severity of the degradation. And using the N-word will get you in trouble, big trouble. Oh. I was drawn to Ghana not only because of my roots, not only because my roots were traced there, but to understand what it was like to walk in the footsteps of my enslaved African ancestors, those who were imprisoned, kidnapped, or coerced into slavery. Ghanaian artist Kwame Kabe Okoto Bamfo created an installation of 1,200 concrete heads representing Ghana's enslaved ancestors in Accra, the capital of Ghana, called For Freedom. His ancestor project in Yinkum Payum is a 7-year art installation of 11,111 sculptures to tell the story of our African heritage.
Interesting. Dr. Agu, why 11,111 sculptures?
Penny, good question. The artist Okoto Bamfo chose to create 11,111 heads to represent the ancestors' strength in numbers. The beautiful thing is that you don't have to travel all the way to Africa. His outdoor sculpture, dedicated to the memory of the victims of the transatlantic slave trade, is on display at the National Memorial for Peace and Justice in Montgomery, Alabama. It is the nation's first memorial dedicated to the legacy of enslaved Black people terrorized by lynching, African Americans humiliated by the racial segregation and Jim Crow. We need to respect and understand that ugly part of history. When you know where you come from, you have a better understanding of humanity.
We have some experiences in common, Dr. Agu. I learned that blacks have suffered like the Chinese due to racist law enacted by the white Europeans. Today, the civil rights laws are practiced but not fully adhered by all public officials, including the Donald Trump party.
Min Shang, is it?
What
do you mean? You're Chinese, huh?
Yeah, Mouse. It's actually Ming Sheng, okay? You must know I came here as an exchange student 4 years ago, eventually lost my accent. I want to be an American citizen. I watch American news and see the atrocities and crimes against blacks, despite the law that protects them and war should protect them.
So much hate, it's unbelievable. Speaking of Trump, I remember that back in Texas, laws which segregated neighborhoods based on race, who focused on the Native Americans, Black Americans, Asians, and Mexican Americans, were considered Juan Crow. And compared to the Jim Crow laws, Mexicans in El Paso, Mexico, were viewed as stupid and shouldn't be eligible to vote.
Well, Maria, you taught me something new. This is the first time I've heard of Jim Crow, Juan Crow. I'm sorry.
I know what it's like to be marginalized. I'm glad I was able to educate you and my fellow students.
To expand on what Ryan said, I believe that racism and the enactment of laws that protects the whites and not blacks and other races It's an attempt to dismantle what the black man and woman in this country achieved.
Yeah, Republicans are trying to turn back the hands of time, reverting us back to Jim Crow laws and slavery and, should I say, Juan Crow laws.
Your comments are insightful and valid. There are two important organizations which helped dismantle racist laws. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, aka NAACP, whose founders included W.E.B. Du Bois, Mary White Ovington, Moorfield Story, Ida Bell, Wells Barnett, and others. The second is the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, or SCLC, founded by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Ralph Abernathy, Bayard Rustin, Fred Shuttlesworth, and Joseph Lowry. But let's dive a little deeper. What about the civil rights activists who also played a major role, but who are rarely mentioned in our history books? Those activists, the unsung heroes, they say behind every great man is a woman. In this case, behind every great civil rights leader and civil rights organization are the brave, dedicated, and loyal civil rights activists, members who risked their lives in defending what they believed in.
I've only heard about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
And I am grateful for Dr. Martin Luther King and the others who founded the SCLC and NAACP for the good of our people. There had to be a place for all races, particularly blacks, who had people who cared for them, an organization that wouldn't back down no matter what the obstacles they faced, including death.
I agree with Maria. Dr. King was assassinated just like Malcolm X. Their sacrifice was not in vain. Their life, works, and achievement continue until today as great achievers for mankind.
The history of civil rights brings memories of my childhood, when my grandparents would tell me of the fear and terror they faced growing up in the 1950s, which made me want a career as a civil rights activist attorney. So much has been done to rectify the past, but not enough people and power have committed themselves to enforcing the laws. Some turn their backs when they hear of police brutality and white supremacist groups ganging up on blacks. I have a lot of work to do when I graduate and go into law school. I'm going to follow in the footsteps of Dr. King to make a difference, because he had a dream, and so do I, that racism will cease and be no more with the races.
Well said.
That was beautiful.
Looking at the past brings tears to my eyes when I think about the struggle that these great men and women and what the people in the communities did to ensure that blacks had equal rights.
We all need to be, Martin.
Go ahead.
We all need to be reminded of what great leaders we have and continue to have if we all strive for a common cause, and that is solving the world's racial disparity with peace and dignity.
SCLC and the NAACP, as well as its founders, can be found in your textbooks, which will explain the roles that they played in civil rights. But I encourage you to go beyond your textbooks to learn more about these organizations.
Dr. King loved and tolerated all races. He never gave up to the end.
A brave, brilliant man who has inspired me to becoming involved with the NAACP.
They have a Los Angeles chapter.
I'm going to join. I'm going to help out wherever I can.
By joining, you can make the whole. You'll be a part of a community of people of all races that want to benefit the goals and purposes of the NAACP.
Well, what, Miles? Did you want to join?
Hey, I'm glad the others find me funny. No, I don't want to join. I have other organizations that I'm a member of and proud of it.
Yeah? What supremacy groups like the KKK?
No, Adab, I'm not a member of the KKK, and if I was, that's my business.
Yeah, whatever, man. I think you are a member of an elite white supremacist group that only the Trump supporters can join.
I plead the fifth.
I believe the students should have a voice and interact with each other to discuss the material and lecture, but do it with respect.
Okay. Dr. Agu, You can't blame the Republicans, as crimes against blacks have happened historically when Democrats have been in power. I hate to say this, seeing as you're probably Democrats and I'm the only Republican in the class. For your information, back in the day when slavery was legal, the Republicans supported black rights, and the Democrats were considered to be for whites, as the Republicans were said to be mostly for Negroes, although it was controlled by whites. And of course, the Southern Democrats weren't clean. It was said they took over the Southern states by illegal means, and the Democrats were for white supremacy after the Civil War. But today, black supports the Democratic Party.
I don't believe you, Miles. You're lying. I've read several history books, and I don't remember reading anything about the Democrats being pro-slavery.
Miles, are you saying that back in the days, Democrats were practicing the policies of slaveholders who were a majority in the southern states?
The Republicans are seen as racist, but I hate to say this, that maybe the United States needs tightening up with immigration laws. I mean, look what's happening to some of the countries in the world. It's gotten out of control.
Are you talking about the Mexican population?
No, but since you brought it up, Trump is only following the laws of the United States. Illegal aliens are dealt with in other countries. It is illegal for anyone that is not a lawful resident of the United States that is in the country by illegal means. It's gotten out of hand. They think it is legal for them to be illegal, and so the citizens of the United States are ousted out of employment and opportunities because of them.
You are so far gone into the Trump doctrine that it is unbelievable. Illegal aliens work the jobs that the citizens don't want.
That may be true, but what about other employment where there are so many illegals that you have to speak Spanish to be able to serve them? A lot of my friends have been passed up on employment opportunities because they don't speak Spanish.
The government has to provide translators and speakers of Spanish to assist those who need help. They're not the only race that needs translators.
I know, but they're the only ones where there's so many illegals.
Well, they wanted to be in a land of prosperity where they could feed their children and provide a better means of living and education.
Is that so wrong?
I hate to admit it, Miles knows his history. The Democrats were racist towards blacks, but that's in the past. Look at what they have now achieved for all races, especially blacks. The civil rights, equal opportunities. But women, I'm sorry to say, are still not equal to men with the laws that are in place to provide them with equal opportunities in all fields with equal pay.
That's right. I'd like to have equal pay to men. I hope one day to open my own Black-owned business as a consultant to help civil rights organizations in their quest to dismantle social, economic, and political affairs that hurt Blacks and other races.
It's only right that women should be paid the same as men for the same job. I totally agree with, which takes me to Dr. Korengo, who founded Kwanzaa. He said, people always talk about what America's achieved, but no matter what America has achieved, imagine what it would have achieved if it had not oppressed the majority of its people. Half of it was a population of women. The Native American genocide, the African Holocaust, the Mexican dispossession, the Asian exploitation of labor. If all these marginalized people had been allowed to contribute to the construction of what it means to be America at its best, its beginning, there is no telling what America could be. But we won't complain or cry about that. We will argue that we have reshaped America in spite of itself. Class, how many of you are familiar with the term genocide? When you understand the past, it makes it easier to understand the present.
Understood.
Genocide or Holocaust, I know what the term means. No one wants to rekindle another genocide.
Genocide means the extermination of a race or races.
I guess everyone knows what genocide is. Genocide has happened to more populations than you realize. When we think of the horrendous crimes that were committed against these people, from murder to torture and even human trading and trafficking, many will immediately go to the Holocaust of the Jews. In fact, the indigenous peoples of America, the New World, were the Native Americans. The white man came here from the European countries and massacred
What is documented is the 1890 massacre of more than 300 Lakota at Wounded Knee in South Dakota. The 1864 massacre of more than 250 Arapaho and Cheyenne at Sand Creek in Colorado. When the incident occurred at Wounded Knee, the Lakota Indians were holding a religious ritual referred to as the ghost dance. However, since the US government was frightened and unfamiliar with these practices, they sent in troops and shot down more than 300 Lakota, many of which were women and children.
It's always about the white man, his wants, his needs, his exploitation of Africans, Blacks, Native Americans, and the list goes on and on. When do we get revenge?
Penny, revenge is a very strong word. We don't want revenge, but what we do want is to hold power like the white man, but to be better and to treat them as human beings, not as beasts, like they did in killing and destroying the American natives and other races, religion, or culture merely because of hatred and greed.
Well, I believe the white man may have been fearful of the Native Americans, so fearful that they killed and destroyed them.
Well, there were many Christians and ministers that should have taught the white man to try to understand their way of life. I mean, the Native Americans too may have been fearful of the white man.
From my perspective, the American natives were seen as a threat to the white man. They wanted their land for little or nothing and wanted a way to remove them, and then resulting in a genocide.
Yeah.
From the mid-1800s to late 1800s, there were more than 4,000 California Indians killed. Some kidnapped, some were sold like blacks as slaves, and others died due to disease and starvation.
As a Muslim woman, my family, sisters, aunts, niece, and I lived in fear of female genital mutilation, domestic violence, rape, and murder. That is why we left our country for the so-called land of the free and the American dream, learning more about the plan of destroying the Native American population by sterilizing 25 to 50% of the Native American women has sickened me.
I read that the US government thought Native Americans were the cause of contagious diseases and could infect the military. And their solution was to sterilize the American Indian women. They were manipulated into going through it, and if they did not, they would lose their health benefits. This is in the 70s. I also found out that thousands of Indigenous women and girls go missing every year. I'm so disgusted.
God. That sounds like what they're doing about the COVID-19 vaccinations. Maybe not sterilization, but I can understand now why so many people are against accepting how we are being forced to handle the pandemic. We can't trust the government to really care about our health.
The history of the world is horrific. As you are learning, the common denominator is the white race. Now, I am not militant by stating facts. Your own research is showing you that one race is making rules to destroy others. Kwanzaa is not the full answer, but if we adopted the principles, there is hope. No solution is perfect. No person is perfect. Not even Dr. Karenga. He has a past, but he has corrected it. People can change if they are willing, but it will take a lot of work.
Genocide happens whether it's the white man or black man. Look at Africa between the Tutsi and Hutu people and the Rwanda genocide of 1994. The Hutu killed 600,000 people, mostly Tutsi.
Horrifying, Miles, but is that really?
Catherine, genocide has happened all over the world and continues. It is on a much larger scale than you think. In the United States, they didn't call it genocide. They called it slavery to disguise the torture, branding, and murders and lynching on blacks. The rape on black women and the laws that were designed for whites where they would be forgiven for their crimes. The Holocaust of slaves, where Europeans brought millions of men, women, and children to the New World, the killing and torture of blacks in the United States as slaves enduring white supremacy and the KKK. In the American Civil War, 200,000 plus blacks joined. In the Confederacy, blacks, both free and slaves, were used. More than 750,000 soldiers died because of the 1861 to 1865 war. In 1921, the Tulsa Race Massacre occurred when the Tulsa, Oklahoma black population were attacked at their homes and businesses burned down, resulting in 300 killed, 800 injured, and 10,000 homeless. This year marked the 100th anniversary of that bloodshed and sparked outrage across the country.
I never really thought of slavery as genocide.
Me either. This is the first time I heard of the Tulsa Race Massacre.
I understand that Tulsa is just one of many examples where fighting and murders have happened not only because of genocide or the Holocausts, but because of dispossession, especially in Mexico, where land was and is taken to put local farmers out of business. Not only men took an active role in trying to keep or reclaim their property, but women also took a major role in their quest to maintain ownership of their family's property.
Maria, thank you for enlightening us about the property rights of Mexicans, both personal and businesses.
My familia had property which was taken over by bandits. My parents took an active stand. My mother, God bless her soul, was the mouthpiece of the family, and eventually we received our property back. The 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo provisions resulted in 90% of homes being lost by land-owning Spanish-Mexican residents due to Anglo-squatters, intermarriage, or land adjudication proceedings initiated by the United States. Whilst the United States was steeped into the white dominant property ownership, Mexican and Spanish law allowed Spanish-Mexican females to freely buy and sell land.
Maria, great point about how women have taken on dangerous leadership roles to protect country and family. One of the most interesting pieces of knowledge I discovered about Ghana's history was that this November marked the 100th year of the death of Ghanaian Nana Yaa Asantewaa, whose legacy was her bravery, resilience, and courage. She is known as the Asante warrior Queen Mother, whose activism and military tactics contributed to the liberation of our people and country. Just like Rosa Parks' strength to keep her seat helped launch the civil rights movement and to give us equality and freedom in the U.S., Asantewaa was the last African woman to lead a major war against colonial powers in the 1900s and win. As you can see, other countries face some of the same injustices as we have.
In the United States, there are laws in place for employment. Why is there inequality in pay? Women should be paid equally to men. They feel exploited, but in Asia, it's terrible. So much exploitation of not only women, but men and children. And I think sometimes the world has forgotten about them.
It's no secret that the exploitation exists where children work, sometimes in dangerous conditions. In Southern Asia, children account for approximately 12%, which equates to about 41 million children. Children are used in some severe forms of child labor, such as bonded labor, child soldiers, and trafficking.
Yeah, the United States is a continuum. New laws and regulations continue one party or collection of people dispute the current laws. Although the United States have heard of the atrocity back in my country, the people are still exploited because of the needs of the labor force, whether to be men, children, women.
Sexual exploitation is another serious factor which involves child labor.
I've heard of so many of my relatives working in the fields in Asia, working as domestic help that made me sick. I want a better life for me and my parents, despite the regimes that controls the nation. I want to take on the world as one of the first Chinese songwriters for Black rappers in the Black music industry.
You're Chinese making a dent in the Black music industry as a Black rapper songwriter?
Yeah, well,
Well, why rap? That's not your way of life or your culture. Seems odd.
rapping is my way of telling my story and my experience of what I want to see different in the world. It's my form of expression. Besides, it's cool, man. Lighten up.
Miles, rap is known internationally, not just in the hood. You know what I mean? Rap doesn't discriminate. Hell, music is universal. We sing country too. Have you heard of Darius Rucker or even Lil Nas X? We everywhere, bruh. Get used to it.
It sounds to me like Min Shu's turning his back on his own people and trying to fit in where he doesn't belong.
Man, get from under a rock, caveman.
Miles, I can spit bars better than most well-known rappers. Don't sleep on this boy, man. Just watch. I'm a beast.
Let's not get into a heated argument.
Dr. Agu, I have a rap, okay? I want to get this out of my head. My name is Min Shun. Better watch your pronunciation. This is 20% rest. The rest is persuasion. Oh, sorry. Let me start again. Sorry, Mr. Agu. I got too excited. My name is Min Shun. Better watch your pronunciation. This is 20% rap. The rest is Asian persuasion. World create equal under one nation. So if they talking that white trash, just tune the radio station. Hey, Mr. Mouse, wipe away that smile. Come walk in my shoes. You won't even last a mile. Color background, my parents went through hell just so I could put that 6-figure paycheck in the mail. So don't matter where you're from, why you're here, what's your race. Come share your culture with me. I love United States. Black Lives Matter. Stop the Asian hate. So you put your hands up. You feel like you can relate.
Bravo.
I think we can all agree that racism has touched our lives directly and indirectly. No matter what country you are from, there is more to learn about the civil rights movement, and I hope you continue to be curious and seek to gain more knowledge. Let's end today on that note, and tomorrow we get started on our discussion about Kwanzaa. Good morning, class. I hope our previous lecture was meaningful for you today. I will lecture on Kwanzaa. Dr. Mulana Karenga was my professor when I was in college. He founded Kwanzaa after the Watts riots in 1965. Watts is a small community just south of Los Angeles. He chose 7 principles to be practiced for 7 days after Christmas Day. Unity, Imoja, is celebrated the first day, which I will lecture on now, followed by self-determination, Kuji Chagulia, collective work and responsibility, Ujima, cooperative economics, Ujama, purpose, Nia, creativity, Kumba, and ending with faith, Imani. As I mentioned, history is made by man. Kwanzaa is part of history and America. As a matter of fact, the celebration is recognized throughout the world. Dr. Karenga created Kwanzaa as something for all people, but especially the Black community. Dr. Karenga used the name Kwanzaa from the Swahili phrase Motunde ya Kwanzaa, which means first fruits. The symbol of Kwanzaa is the 7 candles, 3 red, 3 green, and 1 black, placed in the kanara, the candle holder. Red represents the struggles and the bloodshed of our people. Black describes the African race, and green symbolizes the future and hope. Each candle represents a different principle.
Dr. Agu, how's it a part of American history? My history. The only history that really counts.
Hey, if it wasn't for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., do you think that the Black men would have their civil rights? If Nelson Mandela did not stand up for the rights of the Black South Africans, do you think they will have equal rights? No, they would just still be slaves, subservient to the white man. The Black man is we're smarter than most white men, okay? They're innovators and inventors. Power and money are what the white man has that used to keep the Black man down. The perception of the media that Black people are dangerous adds to the, confusion.
You're right. You're right.
True.
I agree totally.
I see we are a lively group. Let's keep an open mind and remember that there is a lot of omissions in our American history books. I learned so much just by tracing my own roots, which helped me to understand more about Africa beyond what the media wants us to know and the content found in history books. When you know where you come from, the more you understand who you are and what you represent. My mother said something to me a few days ago about my journey of discovery in Africa. I told her that I basically disconnected from the Western world to fully immerse myself in Africa, and told her I went off the grid when I admitted I had not heard about the recent public killings of Black men. She was appalled and compared me to James Beckworth. Does anyone know who he is? Orion, your hand went up first.
Yeah, who is James Beckworth? But before I answer that, I just wanted to clarify that me and Penny, we have the same last name, but we're not related. At least I never saw her at any of my family reunions.
Well, not only do you all look alike, but you also have the same last name. Did you run out of names? Had the same slave master or what?
Miles, don't try me. I'm not doing this with you today.
Constant interruptions with insults won't help our grade. Miles, how many times do I need to say this? Opinions are welcome, but racist comments and racist slurs are not.
Anyway, Dr. Agu, as I was saying before the racism remark, James Beckworth was the first Black mountain man back in the early 1800s. He was born into slavery, arrived in Missouri with his parents, and was freed by his father. He started working with the Ashley Expedition, signed on with the Rocky Mountain Fur Company, and became a well-known mountain man.
Right. Mr. Beckworth is a piece of history that is not widely known. To add to that, in 1856, he was the only African American in the West to have his life story published. He was credited with the discovery of Beckworth Pass in the Sierra Nevada in 1850 and improved a Native American path, creating what became known as the Beckworth Trail through the mountains to Maryville, California. When you don't know your past, you never know the full truth about your ancestors. That's why history is important and my reason to trace my roots.
That's right, Dr. Agu. Miles, you might even have Black ancestors.
No way. I'm 100% all-American.
You're 100% bullshit.
Hey, would you mind your business? I wasn't talking to you. I don't like you.
I don't like you either, or your ignorant ass comments.
Listen, Ryan, it is Ryan, isn't it? As a potential civil rights activist, your attitude sucks.
Hey, what sucks is you. You got one more motherfucking time to say some stupid shit.
Or what? What are you going to do?
Enough! I encourage open discussions and opinions, but I expect respect. No name calling, cussing, or negative attitudes. Learning can be painful when you find out the truth, but you need to do more listening than talking before you form an opinion.
Okay, keep Ryan off me, Dr. Agu. I'll try to listen to a celebration that was enacted by a Black man whose goal was to outdo the Christmas holiday.
Jesus!
I thought I heard the name of Jesus. How about a gospel song?
No, you
Kumbaya, my
Hey,
Lord.
gospel songs were enacted to soothe the soul of the weary and the downtrodden.
If I could only get to you, Miles.
Hey, no need to get upset. I thought you were into gospel. A little angry, are we? I thought it was just Black women who were always angry. Mustn't get violent, and that wouldn't be right, not with God.
Wow, Miles. If you don't want to see a bona fide angry Black woman, I suggest you keep your goddamn commentary to yourself.
You're the devil, so God would only understand you.
Miles, you stereotype what you don't know. Fear is based on the unknown. And one of the things that is sure to cause controversy is religion and racism. Nolan, I appreciate expressions of spirituality, but name calling is not in line with Christian ways. Everyone calm down, please. On December 1st, 1961, Dr. King said at the AFL-CIO National Convention, differences have been contrived to impose disunity by dividing brothers because of the color of their skin has a different shade. I look forward to confidently to the day when all who work for a living will be one with no thought to their separate this as Negroes, Jews, or Italians, or any other distinctions. This will be the only day we shall bring into full realization the American dream, a dream yet unfulfilled. To refresh, while Kwanzaa is not a religious holiday, it is about principles to lead a better life and accept our differences. Given the obstacles that we face with the riots and the pandemic, I'll end the lecture now as it's quite late here. I'll see everyone tomorrow. Good morning. I see everyone is here. Let's continue where we left off. Umoja, unity. The first principle followed by Kudi Chagulia. The second principle celebrated. Everyone ready?
Yes.
Hello? I can hear you.
Ready.
Umoja, unity, is the foundation of the other 6 principles. According to Dr. Karenga, it is to strive for and maintain unity in the family, commitment, nation, and race. I will discuss unity in the family first. How many of you can say that your family is without conflict?
Every family has conflict. It's part of life.
That's true. Class, remember what I shared on the first day about Dr. King's speech about differences and disunity? Conflict is caused because of misunderstanding, the inability to accept responsibility for one's action, sibling rivalry, bad practices of child rearing. I could go on and on.
Sometimes family members grow differently and not in sync. Our differences in mentality, spirituality, and intellectually can cause tremendous conflicts, resulting in damage to the family dynamic.
That's right, Nolan. Some conflict, when resolved, can provide the stability for a family, but what Kwanzaa teaches through its principle is what to provide a firm foundation for its people. Unity is the key to provide stability and the growth of Blacks.
I have Jesus to help me through trying times. And of course, gospel music that takes me to a realm where I become enlightened to forgive my family, friends, or acquaintances and classmates for whatever the reason.
Having God in one's life certainly helps one through trying times, and so does gospel music.
Do we need to bring God in every conversation? I believe in God, but what I don't believe in is Kwanzaa, which is enacted to discriminate against the white man.
What do you mean? Explain.
Well, God loves all. He loves all nations and wants peace amongst the nations, the doctrine of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
I agree.
How can there be peace when Blacks are rioting, begging for reparations, and always demanding to be treated special from affirmative action and now diversity and equity? When will it stop?
Miles, try not to be so obstinate. Everyone knows that God loves all nations. Blacks are not trying to be special. They have historically been discriminated against and abused by the white man. From what I understand about Kwanzaa, it's a celebration where not only Africans and Blacks can participate, it can unite the races.
Are you trying to tell me that I can celebrate Kwanzaa?
Of course, but you'll have to change your way of thinking. No one wants a racist white boy amidst them.
That part.
Right.
Change my way of thinking?
Yes.
My way is the right way. White superiority reigns supreme. I don't think practicing Kwanzaa is good because, like I say, it discriminates despite what the principle preaches. If Kwanzaa wanted unity, it wouldn't base its principles totally on African principles, but on the suffering of different nations throughout the world.
White superiority. That's exactly what I mean about changing the way you think. Take the white hood off your face and look at what white supremacy has done for our world. Death and destruction.
Miles, Ryan makes a great point. One race is not superior to another. History has told us that the separation of race creates a violent society. It does not end well. So, Miles, you're still not convinced that Kwanzaa should be celebrated by the human race?
You're not going to change my mind that is easily, but since you have 6 more principles to talk about, I will keep an open mind. Just don't bet on it. Can I leave now?
Yeah, Miles, I have been silent on the discussions because I wanted to hear and process what everybody had to say. It appears to me that you are in a hurry to leave class. Are you meeting with your clans?
Wow, really, my clan? What are you trying to say?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. The clansmen.
Whatever.
Miles, be respectful and not judge each other. Miles, you are an adult and can go or leave my class. However, there are consequences of leaving early that will affect your grade. If you are here to learn, you should remain until the end unless it is an emergency.
Okay, but I just don't want to be hammered by Malcolm X.
Settle down, Miles. I appreciate you not disrupting again so that we can finish today's lesson. Community unity is essential for the survival of Blacks, but look beyond one's culture and apply it to your own. If Blacks and others adhere to a peaceful resolution of all issues, involve themselves in productive issues, which include providing resources for their brothers and sisters who are less fortunate than themselves, then community unity can be achieved. The last aspect of Umoja is Pan-African unity. Our communities have been fortunate to listen to our African brothers and sisters in enacting community meetings and businesses so that we can all unite and join as a whole inside of division amongst ourselves.
Are whites invited to the community meetings? Are there any virtual meetings?
All races are invited. We do not discriminate. Kwanzaa is not only for the Africans and Blacks, but for all races who want to participate in the celebration of Kwanzaa and the practice of its principles. Now, I am not sure whether the meetings are available virtually.
I'll Google it and share with the class.
Thank you, Catherine. That would be helpful.
I think Catherine attending will open her eyes to a celebration that is bent on promoting only Africans and Blacks. How many whites do you think will actually attend, Dr. Agu?
It should not matter who is at the meeting or celebrations, Miles. More importantly, it matters why you attend. So we do not count the number of different races that attend, but we are grateful for those who do attend.
Miles, I will make my own choices as to what I will open my eyes to, certainly not you.
But if there are no more questions on the first principle, I will go over the second. Kuji Chagolia. Self-determination defines ourselves, names ourselves, creates for ourselves, and speaks for ourselves. Defining ourselves defends and develops ourselves as Blacks without having to have to have others do this for us. Defining identity is an important step to understanding and appreciating oneself in communities. Students, how would you define yourselves?
Like Miles, I am white, brought up in a close-knit family, but I am not biased or racist like Miles. I do want to understand what Blacks want and need. My goal, like all the other students, is to complete my degree.
Catherine, you realize that you sound like a liberal? I'm not Black, you can see that. So to me, I still believe that Kwanzaa is a means for the Black man to take over the United States.
Shut up, Miles.
Miles, please stop. It's not about the Black man taking over America. It's about equality and promoting one's culture instead of white societal conditions. Take, for instance, the standard of hair in the workplace. Black women have had to straighten their hair, costing time and money just to conform to the white societal standards for appearance. It is only recently that California and other states have made it illegal to discriminate against wearing natural hair in the workplace.
I've seen it and I totally disagree. The frizzy hair looks unkept. It makes him appear ridiculous.
Miles, you will not demean my crown.
Bro, you are a complete asshole. Shut the hell up.
I think our Black queens look great.
I believe in free speech, but you are not offering constructive discussions. No more, and I mean no more outbursts about your negative and condescending comments. Expand your mind by listening. You can't learn if you keep talking.
Yes, Master, I'll comply.
Yes, master. Miles, you are a trip. Let Dr. Agu continue with the lecture before we all shut down our computers.
Are you planning a lunch counter sit-in or a million-man march, Chris?
What did you just say? Miles, good thing we are in a virtual class because my next move would have been to show you how I will put my foot in your ass.
Oh, you hearing this?
Never call me master. My name is Dr. Agu. Chris, that's what we're trying to stay away from, violence. However, it's interesting that these discussions circle back to civil rights. Let's get through the principles, then start a roundtable about how it can be effective in the civil rights movement.
Thank goodness. Will Miles be restrained?
Listen, if I have questions, I'm gonna ask them.
But not your racist questions, comments, or suggestions on how white supremacy should rule the nation. Understand?
People, let's remember to respect each other's opinion. On that note, let's continue the lecture tomorrow. If you haven't already downloaded the curriculum, be prepared. Keep the peace and stay safe. Don't forget to wear your mask in public.
Hi, I'm Carrie Tate Hogue, a board member of the Robey Theatre Company. Your financial support is vital to our work, especially during these challenging times. We are committed to our mission of fostering a community of artists and creatives to produce plays about the global Black experience. As a community, we take this mission seriously. We also want to entertain you because you deserve it. Thank you for attending today. And please consider contributing to the Robey Theatre Company today at www.therobeytheatrecompany.org. Click the donate button. And remember, every donation helps, and no amount is too small or too large. See you at the theater.
Los Angeles is quite the town. Every shade of red, white, tan, black, or brown. You reach so high, but they knock you low. So you're wondering which way to go. Take the path to hone your craft and build a legacy to last in a community of creativity. The Robey Theatre is what you need. Robey, the Robey Theatre Company. Robey, go Robey, the Robey Theatre Company. Robey, go Robey, the Robey Theatre Company. Robey, go Robey, the Robey Theatre Company. You love the arts, you wanna be a part. You're looking for a place where you can start. with fertile ground to sow your seed into cultural diversity. You see a play that rocks the stage and takes you on a journey going all the way in a community of creativity. The Robey Theatre is what you need. Robey, Robey Theatre. Go Robey, go Robey. The Robey Theatre Company. Robey, go Robey. Come on, come on, come on. Theatre. Come on and go. Go Robey. Yeah. Go Robey Theatre Company. Actors and playwrights. You wanna get it right? Go Robey. Go Robey. Go.
Elevation Travel! Welcome, travelers. Travel is one of the largest industries in the world, and travel club membership are a growing trend in the industry. My Econ will undercut the market by discounting prices up to 70%. You can purchase the membership for $139.95 per year or for a one-time setup fee of $39.95 and then $13.95 per month thereafter. There are no contracts or long-term obligations, and you can cancel anytime. Receive our 110% price guarantee, plus rewards credits. One membership covers the whole family. 24/7 customer service and dedicated travel concierge. Over 1 million hotels and resorts worldwide. 300,000 luxury residences and 15,000 cruise sailings. 50 rental car companies, activities, attractions, and more. Join now. Elevation Travel, My Econ.
I hope that today will be a better day for everyone. I see Miles, that Miles hasn't signed on.
Thank goodness. I'm so tired of his negativity.
One less headache.
We need to get started. Yesterday, I introduced the second principle, Kujichagulia, self-determination, which not only talks about defining ourselves, but also naming ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves.
I'd like to say that using African names has become commonplace, especially since Dr. Karenga founded Kwanzaa.
African names promotes a sense of unity amongst the tribes of Africa and their descendants, not only for African Americans, but Blacks around the world.
I agree. When I became a Muslim, I changed my name.
As a Christian, there's no need to change my name, unless I get married.
As an advocate of Kwanzaa, I have many friends who have changed their names. I've been thinking of doing the same, but haven't gotten around to doing it. You know, once one becomes involved with Kwanzaa, the desire to change one's name increases, as well as creating for oneself and speaking for oneself.
You are all right. Once you accept your African heritage, you want to change your name, create for yourselves by being trained by Black instructors in whatever craft you desire in order to not only survive, but to maintain a productive lifestyle. And as for speaking for oneself, it is inherent in our behavior when faced not only with opportunity, but opposition and conflict. We cannot forget what happened to George Floyd and the riots that occurred throughout the world. I've completed the second principle. Next is the third. The third principle of Kwanzaa, which is Ujima, collective work and responsibility.
Collective work and responsibility? I definitely need more examples.
As the third principle states, we need to work together in our communities to build and sustain communities and to ensure that we take interest and solve the problems of our brothers and sisters, helping to prevent their exploitation. It calls for unity to expose those who implement or continue to enslave Blacks into subservient positions, whether it be personal business, or in governmental offices. I will refer again to the George Floyd murder, where blacks not tolerating the murder of a black man united along with all races of all nations to protest the murder. Then therein is the challenge of culture and history, where thanks to great men who have taken upon themselves the challenge to find, correct, and make known the findings of African artifacts and culture, which are also seen in Egyptian writings, so as to pass this information on for generations and generations.
To be clear, are you saying that we should use the principle unity and collective work and responsibility in order to build and sustain our Hispanic communities because of the high rate of Hispanics who are in neighborhoods who need people who speak their language in order to understand and provide them with their needs to better help them?
Yes, Maria.
I understand the third principle, but man is man, and no one knows for sure if Africans were descendants of the Egyptians. As one knows, when a story or even the truth is told from person to person, it tends to be distorted. Africans may have been traced to the Egyptians, but when you hear the politicians and the lies and they tell endlessly in the history of our culture, which is spread from generation to generation, the truth tends to be distorted.
Miles, you are right. That's the critical thinking I encourage, not racist remarks. Keep that up.
I'm always thinking, Dr. Agu. I've heard about Kwanzaa, but didn't know the intricate details. It's only right that I would ask and question the relevancy of Kwanzaa's principles.
But that's fine, Miles. I welcome your questions, but be careful of any racist remarks or comments. As the third principle is now clear to everyone, I will proceed with the fourth principle. The fourth principle of Kwanzaa, Ujamaa, cooperative economics, which includes blacks building their communities with black stores, shops, and businesses so that black products will be bought and sold with monies earned by blacks. Cooperative economics also include economic reliance and obligation of generosity.
Hey everyone, I'm sure I didn't miss much.
I started the lecture 10 minutes ago.
And?
What do you mean, and?
Well, I did read the curriculum. It's pretty colorful.
Settle down and embrace this knowledge. We are discussing the fourth principle, Ujamaa, cooperative economics, where we discuss blacks owning businesses in communities in order for them to buy and sell black produced goods.
I was taught that blacks want reparations. I call it greed, and more greed. Blacks want a community of their own shops and businesses so money will circulate only to other blacks. It sounds selfish. Think about it. If whites have shops were only white shop, then it's racist. The rules and regulations seem one-sided and designed to control whites and make their establishments available for everybody, but blacks don't have to do that.
Miles, you don't get it. Supporting respective communities is admirable and part of survival. Blacks are not the only culture who promote their own kind in the communities, which includes businesses and stores. Take, for instance, the Latino community. They cater to Latinos.
Oh, yes, the Latino community caters to Latinos, but whites and other cultures are always welcome. I am sure we can all agree that the color of money is the same, green.
I don't agree with the principles. How does that apply to me in the real world?
Understand Kwanzaa and its true meaning, then you will understand how the principles can help provide unity with one's family and a cohesive community.
I understand. By the way, I took your advice. I'm tracing my roots. And I'm sure I'm related to a French king or queen from Europe. I know I have blue blood running through my royal veins.
If you know your European history, you will know that according to a book by Kenneth C. Davis, The Hidden History Behind America's True First Pilgrims, an episode that speaks volumes about the European arrival in the Americas and the untidy religious struggles that shaped this nation. French men were met and captured at a coastal inlet about 17 miles south of St. Augustine on September 29th, 1565. Expecting to be captured or perhaps ransomed, the exhausted and hungry Frenchmen surrendered without a fight.
Hater, I'm just being realistic. Look at it from my point of view.
Never
I agree. Never. The civil rights movement did too much for our people to try to understand your kind.
Our people, like the blacks, have endured horrific conditions because our fight for our rights.
But it wasn't racial. It was political groups, etc.
Man, etc. You can just shut the fuck up.
What?
My
You say to me?
tracing his roots is a good thing. I've started mine in Ghana, but had to stop because of the pandemic. I would advise all of my students to seriously consider tracing their roots and how it will affect how they might view their cultural stance in today's society.
Pandemic is causing economic damage by forcing the closure of shops, stores, private businesses, which include governmental businesses. We are all in the same boat, so there should be no hate against cultures trying to survive. We all need to pull through this and join together in helping our brothers and sisters despite the color of their skin.
Catherine, that's a great example of the meaning of Kwanzaa and the principle cooperative economics.
We all need to get through the pandemic and the effect it has on everyone, not just blacks.
I agree. I'm going to go back to the first principle. Unity is the key to hold our society together. Without unity, there is frustration, anger, and violence, which is normally aimed towards minorities. Not only blacks have been targeted by the Asian population with hate crimes, as stated by the media, which may or may not be false, that the Asians transmitted COVID-19 throughout the world, resulting in hate, anger, and violence towards them. Hate knows no boundaries. It pours over into each and every crevice where their ignorance targets a race for problems.
We need the resilience and leadership of Dr. King to overcome the endless cycle of violence against Black men. I want to be that change.
I commend you, Ryan. But the civil rights life can be dangerous and comes with many sacrifices.
I will do whatever is necessary to help my brothers and sisters triumph over all oppressors.
Speaking of oppressors, you know, Nelson Mandela served decades in prison for what he believed in, equality for his people. It's not a 9-to-5 job, Ryan.
Well, yeah, I know, Dr. Agu, I know. The Kwanzaa principles are a great blueprint to guide me as a compassionate leader.
Speaking of rights, I have the right to leave this conversation.
Well, leave.
Then go.
Yes, you do.
Before today's lecture comes to an end, I need to discuss obligation of generosity. As we've touched on self-reliance, to give back is essential for the survival of its people. Therefore, Kwanzaa emphasizes the need for not only businesses, but people who can afford to donate money, services, or their time to help those less fortunate than themselves, or who need their expertise and training for them for a future. Any questions? No? Then students, prepare to discuss the remaining principles in the next lecture. You will each be given an assignment about your family roots and explain how you would integrate one of the principles in your lives or with your family and friends.
I am not going to discuss Kwanzaa with my friends and family. They're white and our roots are American born and raised. They're not going to want to talk about Kwanzaa.
How do you know what they will or will not do? This is a mandatory assignment and not an option. If your families will not participate, share with the class how you will apply the principles in your own life.
Well, they need to hear how the other side feels. I know my folks, they're not having it.
Shout at me one more time. Miles, you do not run this show. If you continue, I will ask that you withdraw from my class.
What are you discriminating against me? Why can't I just be me?
Because you doesn't work.
What is it, Mom?
I just wanted to see how you're doing in class since it's the first time you had a virtual class.
No, Mom, it was awkward. My American history class started with a lecture about Kwanzaa, some non-religious holiday created by a Black man. I mean, you know how I am about Blacks and the culture. You taught me that we're better. But I'll show them by tracing our roots. Mom, what's wrong?
Miles, we were worried that the family secrets would come out. We wanted to protect you.
Protect me from what? You and Dad raised me as an All-American with privileges. I'm proud of that. I want to know all about my grandparents and those before them. I know they were well respected in white society. As a matter of fact, where are the family photos? I want Dr. Agu and all the students to see who I really am.
Miles, you're old enough to understand now. Most of my family photos no longer exist. When you look at me, I look like any white person you know. The truth is, my great-grandmother was black, and my great-grandfather was white.
What? Oh my God. You're black? That's a lie. Why are you lying to me?
At the time, we thought it best that you did not know. We didn't want you to suffer and be treated differently, like my brother who couldn't pass.
I have an uncle. I can't believe what I'm hearing. How do I know that you're really my mother? Wait, what the hell does passing mean? Who are you, really? This is just too much. How could you and Dad lie to me? You're black? What the fuck? I thought I was French. Wait, does that mean I'm black too? Why didn't Father tell me?
He was afraid to tell you, and yes, you have an uncle, but we haven't spoken in years. I know you have a lot of questions. Passing means to the outside world. That you're part of that race. You can pass or you can be what they think you are. Light as a white man. I thought I was lucky.
Lucky? Passing, you're telling me that you're a nigger. No, that means that I'm a nigger. I can't believe this. What? And Father married you because
he loved me. He loved me, sweetheart. He loved me, despite the fact that I was black. You see, we were young back then, and when we first met, he thought I was white, and so I kept up the pretense, and until
what, Mom?
Until I thought he should know. You see, he wanted to take me to see his folks, for me to meet them, to marry me. Me, a young black girl who could pass for white. I was so happy. I didn't mean for it to happen. It just did. It just did. My parents didn't know my brother. My brother didn't either. And when I told them I was dating a white boy, they were horrified. What are you going to do when they find out? That's what they told me. I didn't care. I was in love. I looked beyond the color of his skin and just didn't realize the consequences of my action.
So what happened? I mean, what did he say when he found out?
He was scared. He screamed, he shouted, but then he calmed down. I think he was more scared of what his family was going to say. I mean, he was an heir. He didn't want to lose the respect of his family nor his inheritance. He said he needed time to think over our relationship, and it didn't take but the next day, and he told me he wanted to continue our relationship, to tell his parents about me, to marry me despite the consequences. So we did. They weren't happy, but they loved me like he did. As long as As long as I passed for white, I could be part of the family.
I'm trying to understand what you're saying, Mom.
I had to see my family in secret. I hid the fact that they were Black. My brother's skin was as brown as shoe polish. He knew that if they found out, they would ridicule and scorn him. He said he didn't care, but I didn't want to hurt him. I'm so sorry for my behavior. I shouldn't have hid my brother from you nor his family, but I was so afraid. You know, people who have married where one partner is Black was often beaten to death or badly injured because although legal in the time, it was still dangerous. Your father is white and you're white. I brought you up the best way that I thought. I didn't want to hurt you, to have people staring at you everywhere you went saying, oh, he's a nigger, but his skin is white.
Well, so you just turn your back on your own blood? What if I was born with nappy hair and brown skin? I guess I was blessed to look like Dad.
I brought you up as a Christian. Later in life, you wanted to be a racist. You loved your father and your white friends. Your friends turned out to be racist, and you followed in their footsteps, becoming as racist as them. Don't you remember, Miles? I tried to stop you, tried for you to return to church, but you wouldn't listen.
I attended church as a child, Mother, because I had no choice. When I got older, I hung out with white boys who seemed to know what they wanted in life, and they were racist. You knew I was into white supremacy. Why didn't you tell me then?
Your father tried to steer you away from, without telling you you were Black, but you wouldn't listen. You were hell-bent on being a racist no matter what we did.
What are my friends, my classmates gonna say? They're gonna laugh at me. Me, a proud white boy. I should say a proud racist white boy bent on hating everything that Blacks stand for. I feel like a fool. I don't know if I want to accept my Black heritage, but you know what? If it'll make you feel better, I'll try, Mother. You know, accepting the fact that I'm Black will take me a minute, Mom, but this is not what I want to hear or even think about. Now I understand why there are no family photographs on the walls or even in the albums for me to look at.
Miles, I said I was sorry.
You're sorry? I don't know if I can forgive you or Father for this. My life is ruined.
Miles, stop!
What am I going to do? Am I going to have to start a new life as a nigger? I'm a fake, and you're a fake. I can't look at you. God. I can't even look at me.
Miles, your father and I didn't want to hurt you. We just wanted you to lead a normal life.
A normal life? What's a normal life, Mother? Living a lie? You should have told me years ago before I...
What, Miles?
Before I got too deeply entrenched in white supremacy!
How is everyone doing today?
Dr. Agu, I'm sorry to say that... Sorry, I'm having tech issues and not feeling well. I'm under the doctor's care and will complete my assignment when I'm able.
Dr. Care, I hope it's not serious. If you are not able to participate, that's fine. Continuing on, the fifth principle, NIA, purpose, to make our collective vocation the building and development of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. This principle is needed for our people to be united in our efforts to not only build a foundation so that our community can be strong in their endeavor to cater not only to the children, but the youth, the adults, and the elderly. Building a community that is deeply entrenched with our African heritage helps us as a people to be proud of the work that we have done.
We all have to have a goal, a purpose in life, Dr. Agu. And so Blacks have to be strong and persevere in their commitment to build and develop their communities.
I thank you for understanding the problems we face. Your comment is well taken, Catherine.
NIA also involves heirs and custodians of great legacy. Private individuals as well as public organizations take great pride in the collection and exhibit of a piece or a collection of generational African or Black heritage pieces to be shown to the world. We must involve ourselves in the endeavors to educate ourselves and our children. Any questions?
I've taken my family to many exhibitions. I found out so much about Africans and Blacks who lived in different lands. We are traced to the Egyptians and other countries.
So are whites. I'm sorry I had to interrupt. Africans, Blacks, whatever you want to call them as we progress through the eras, what's the big deal that there is historical data that Africans and Blacks were around? They were probably traced to BC. So what?
You bastard, you racist pig, you.
Yeah, I'm just being realistic. Africans and Blacks were traced, and?
Man, I think Miles is deaf. Whites are proud of their heritage. They collect historical data that traces them through time around the world. Why can't the collection and exhibit of Africans and Blacks be conducted without the negative remarks, comments, and put downs by people like you?
Sorry, those are my comments.
You are a sorry excuse for humanity.
As we have questions and opinions and comments from opposing sides, and you all have the same objective in mind, and that is to successfully complete and pass this class. I am demanding you refrain from any racist stance, especially you, Miles. You're walking on a thin line with me.
Okay, but if I have a relevant comment or question, I'm going to ask. I have my rights.
Miles, I'll be damned. You don't have the right to be insensitive and racist. This stops now. Class, we've touched on generational responsibility, which leaves us with joining personal and social purpose. Do I need to go over this?
I'm good.
Me too.
Any questions? Oh, good. I'll continue with the next principle, which is Kumba, creativity. Creativity takes many forms, which Blacks are famous for. EI in the music industry, in the arts, in our clothing, and our makeup with an African heritage. Creativity takes many forms, which we should participate in to adorn ourselves with clothing made by Blacks, jewelry, our hair dressed by Black hairstylists, our music, and I could go on and on. We as a people do not fall short of our gift of creativity. Kwanzaa encourages creativity, which is good for the mind and soul of all.
Like Blacks, the Hispanics are known for their creativity, which is shown on murals on their buildings, crafts in their homes, and in their businesses. And like me, the self-portrait.
Nice.
That's true. It seems that like Blacks, the Hispanics are gifted with the art of creativity, which I like.
Well, as a potential civil rights activist, the work of Blacks as well as the Hispanic communities are always welcome as long as they speak English. I know very little English.
If you need help, just let me know.
Kumba, creativity, also involves the restoration of historical artifacts and literature. Dr. Maulana Karenga's website states that nowhere is this principle more clearly expressed than in the literature and culture of ancient Egypt. Creativity here is both an original act or imitation of the creator and a restorative act also, reflective of the creator constantly pushing back the currents of chaos and decay and revitalizing and restoring the natural, spiritual, and cosmic energy of the world.
As a Muslim, I appreciate the restorations of artifacts to provide our families and generations to come of how important Africans and Blacks played in the role of not only Egyptians, but in Africa and throughout the world.
I love history, and especially Black history and their culture.
You're my girl.
The last principle, Imani, faith. Again, taken from Dr. Maulana Karenga's lectures, Imani's first role is in the context of African spirituality. It begins with a belief in the creator and the positiveness of the creation, and logically leads to a belief in the essential goodness and possibility of the human personality. For in all African spiritual traditions, from Egypt on, it is taught that we are in the image of the creator, and thus capable of ultimate righteousness and creativity through self-mastery and development in the context of positive support. Therefore, faith in ourselves is key here. Faith in our capacity as humans to live righteously, self-correct, support, care for, and be responsible for each other, and eventually create the just and good society.
The term faith in ourselves, I assume, includes faith in overcoming adversity, which includes slavery.
Descendants of slaves have had to have faith to deal with racism of their slave masters. Their faith that there would be better days and justice for them was furthermost in their minds. Today, we still have to have faith in our parents, teachers, and leaders to be our guides.
Speaking of leaders, if it wasn't for Dr. King, we wouldn't have the holiday in which to celebrate what he did for not only Blacks, but for the nation. And I am indeed thankful for Dr. Maulana Karenga for bringing to light the need for the celebration of Kwanzaa to all who want to practice the 7 principles.
Yes, thank you, Ryan. The 7 principles of Kwanzaa taught here will affect each and every one of you. And if you adhere to the principles, it will guide you towards a more cultural, harmonious, and a better outlook in life than you had before. Everyone, have a good weekend. See you after the Thanksgiving holiday.
Dear God. Okay. I know I don't have the right to talk to you, but hell, sorry. I mean, well, I'm embarrassed to tell anyone about my situation. God, I need your help. I pray that my assignment is about family. The fact that I would have to participate with Blacks the way I feel would prove way too hard for me. You hear me? I'm saying amen and wait for miracle. My assignment is Kwanzaa's 3rd principle, collective work and responsibility, to contact a local Black organization to help Blacks during the pandemic, to handle the phone calls with their concerns, complaints, and their apprehension at their future, both personal and in employment, and their business. Over my dead body.
Miles? Oh my God.
Welcome back, everyone. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving holiday.
Excuse me, Dr. Agu. I want to apologize for my behavior during the lectures.
Well, go on, Miles. Why the change of heart? What's going on?
I had personal issues, which included. I don't know if I should tell you.
Are you sick?
Maybe his mother is sick of him.
That's funny. We're not the only ones who are sick, fed up, and just had it with you, Miles.
I found out that my mother.
Looks like his computer has had it with him too. It looks like it's frozen.
I wish I was sick with COVID. I just found out that my mother is biracial.
Oh, wow.
You're such a liar. You always need to be the center of attention.
I'm not lying.
Yes, you
I'm not lying. I never knew because my mother's skin is white. She passes for white, has black roots.
That's bullshit.
It's not bullshit. I am so ashamed about, I am so ashamed about my actions and the fact that I presented myself to everyone here as a racist white boy. I want to die.
I am sorry, Miles, that your mother never told you until now. The shock at finding out that your mother is biracial is traumatizing. Forgiveness and understanding is all we have for you, Miles. We forgive you for your past behavior because of the way you may have been brought up. You're not alone, Miles. Not being told the truth. Many families have one or more parent that passed or passes for white who never told their children due to the societal conditions which may have prevailed during their time of marriage. Kwanzaa's first principle, unity, is what we can all practice to help you overcome your grief in having to start a new life. Whether to continue as a white man who refuses to acknowledge his black roots or to practice unity with his fellow students and the black race to achieve peace within yourself and your family. Trains come and go. I'm not saying that you won't have problems, but think about yourself and your family first. True friends will stick by you no matter what.
Miles, don't be so hard on your mother for not telling you. Did you know, Miles, that not too long ago, interracial marriages were prohibited? That couples could be sent to prison and dealt with severely for interracial marriage. Your parents must have been scared to be discovered.
Back in the 1960s, interracial marriage was forbidden, but it was struck down in the 1967 Supreme Court case of the United States with Loving v. Virginia, which made it legal to marry.
Maybe my parents were afraid to tell. Honestly, I'm scared to be discovered too. I'm in therapy because I don't know who I am. I don't trust my mother or father, and I can't face my friends. How do I suddenly be black?
Be yourself. Open your heart and your mind to another world, one in which you hated but now will love. And take the 7 guiding principles of Kwanzaa to help you begin a new life. I'm sure your fellow students will help you out.
I started a new life as a Muslim. You can too, being biracial man, both white and black friends. You're not alone, Miles. There are many, many men and children who look white, but whose parents are biracial.
Miles, if you ever want to join me as a civil rights activist, the door is open. But as Dr. Agu suggested, learn the 7 guiding principles of Kwanzaa. And if you'd like, I'll take you under my wings to teach you how to be black.
Hey, welcome to our world.
Welcome.
Your parents obviously love you, Miles. For whatever reason, they didn't tell you until now. It's not the end of the world. Yes, it is a shock, but it goes to show you that you should never, ever judge a person by the color of their skin or what they believe in. The principles of Kwanzaa are designed to help us become a stronger and understanding community. Cultural understanding and embracing diversity are more important than ever.
Hey, Miles, anything you need to know about the black culture? Holla at your boy, okay?
Hello?
Dr. Agu, do not leave the hotel. There is rioting in the streets due to news of COVID-19 that is now affected some of the people in Ghana, resulting in panic buying for food and supplies in the shops. Do not leave the hotel until further notice. Also, Wi-Fi has been compromised because of vandalism.
Thank you for letting me know. I know I haven't watched the news or heard it on the radio, but I'll turn on the TV right after I finish my lecture. Today, there is the news of the spread of COVID in Ghana. I hope you can hear me.
No. Did you spread?
Hello?
What's happening?
Oh, no. Can you guys hear him?
Can someone call him? Have his number?
Going on.
Hello. Yes. The power is back on. What? Vandalism. I need to stay in my room until tomorrow. What about room service? Well, what do I do for food? You let me know. How about the restaurant? Yes. I heard about the pandemic, but I need to eat. I just finished a lecture and I'm hungry. What? Oh, okay. I'll wait until you call me later with the news. Yes.
Welcome back. President Nana Akufo-Addo today addressed the nation on the evening informing us of the first 2 cases of coronavirus in the country. He announced the ban on social gatherings, the closure of borders, face covering mandate, the lockdown in the 2 metropolitan areas, and the devastation of confirmed cases of infections.
Come in.
There's no phone service, no room service, but a little food in the restaurant. Your bill needs to be adjusted for the extra cost for your room and food. And due to the pandemic, I'm assuming with the borders closed, you will be staying indefinitely, as there will be no flights leaving for some time.
Well, let me know, my.
Oh, you don't know, you can stay. But like I say, we will have to make adjustments to your bill. I listen daily to the news from the government as to what we are allowed to do at the hotel. Maybe there will be some kind of benefits to accommodate those stranded in Ghana.
I hope you're right.
Don't come to the office unless it is an emergency. Please try calling first. If phone doesn't work, then you can come to the office. But remember to wear your mask and maintain social distancing.
I know.
I'll talk to you later.
Students, I hope everyone is well. How are you adjusting, Miles?
I'm doing better.
Well, I see you did submit your completed assignment.
I know. I'm a little embarrassed and ashamed at having to talk to the Black community because of my past behavior and beliefs. Give me until the end of the week. Anyway, I'm sure their hands are full with all the protesting.
Well, you are right. You have more time to hand in your assignment. The students who handed in their assignments, thank you for accomplishing a feat despite the obstacles that you faced.
I attended one of the many marches to protest the murder of George Floyd, but I was able to complete my assignment because my assignment was based on unity, which was pretty easy to complete.
Thank you, Ryan. Is there anyone else who would like to share their experience with their assignments? Any difficulties?
Like Ryan, I joined the Allies' march to protest George Floyd's murder, although I was a little fearful because of the pandemic. I also had the assignment Unity, which I was able to complete. The number of people of all races throughout the world protesting over the murder of a Black man brought tears to my eyes.
We must stick to the rules given us by our governing bodies. Wear masks. Although social distancing wasn't adhered to with the march, I only hope and pray that the number of COVID victims did not increase.
I had the second principle, Kuchi Chagulia, self-determination, where I thought about defining myself, something which I've never done in the past. I've been so busy trying to set goals and taking care of my family that I've never stepped back to define myself. So I defined myself in my assignment, then named myself. My last name is now Ominma, which means one who does good to others. In order to complete this assignment, I had to be creative. And then to speak for myself, I created a Kwanzaa mural for the wall in my living room. I explained to my children the reason why I was now going to practice the 7 principles of Kwanzaa and that they too should participate because the principles provide a cohesive family, business, and builds up the Black communities.
Well, you could have chosen one topic of Kuji Chagulia, but I am happy that you were so involved with the assignment that you wanted to complete the whole aspect of it.
I have the principle Ujima, collective work and responsibility. I was able to complete my assignment and even volunteer at a well-known Black organization and give information on our services to the clients. They are willing to train me, and even, which will be good, stepping stone to possibly work in there permanently.
Your assignment worked out well.
Mine was Kumba, creativity, as I am into Black rappers. So like Nolan, I'm just going to volunteer my time rapping about civil rights for the youth down the center.
Good, Ming Chong.
I had the assignment Nia, Purpose, where I visited African art museums. It was interesting and informative, and I was surprised about the creativity of the artists. The collection must have taken the curators of the legacy some time in gathering the data about the artwork in the museums. I'm going to take this learning and I'm going to bring it into the community. My next visit will be to the exhibit about the atrocities endured by Africans and Blacks.
Visiting an African museum was a great idea. Thank you for your completed assignment. And I love your hair.
I focused on Amani, faith. I believe in God. I believe that the creation of man is his own likeness. I believe that with the right spiritual guidance, as well as the goodness of man, that we can overcome the bad that is inherited in our society by attending church or believing in God to put us on the righteous path when we have been led astray. Like the principle of Amani faith, faith is the key to positive change.
Maria, your comment was great. The principle, Imani, provides faith to all despite the color of one's skin. Gracias, Maria.
My assignment was Ujama, Cooperation in Economics. This section dealt with the obligation of generosity. My parents have a clothing store. When I told my parents about Kwanzaa and its 7 principles and my assignment, my parents and I donated a generous sum to help out the youth center in the Black community. I also intend to volunteer my time to teach the youth about Kwanzaa.
I am very proud of you, Adopt. In fact, I am proud of all of my students in the completion of their assignments. Miles, I know you are having a difficult time right now, but try to complete the assignment and turn it in to me by next Friday. I have 2 weeks to turn in grades, and I'd hate not to include you. Your comments and questions, although at times a little racist, provoked how the other side feels towards Kwanzaa, which I am glad I and the students were able to respond. Take care, students. The celebration of Kwanzaa is for all races. The 7 principles are guidance for a better life with your families and friends and associates. I hope that you'll succeed in gaining your degree. You've been a great class.
Thank you for a great life lesson.
I've learned a lot from the principles, which I can use for my family and friends.
I was familiar with Kwanzaa, but never celebrated. Now I will. I can't wait to get my parents to participate in Kwanzaa.
I'll celebrate Kwanzaa now that I've learned about the principles.
Now that I have a new and different perspective of my life, I'll ask my parents to be open to Kwanzaa. As a matter of fact, I may just visit Dr. Karenga to get more clarity about the questions that I have.
Good, Miles. Please be respectful and adjust your approach. You still have a long way to go.
I've always celebrated Kwanzaa, so it's not new to me, but I'll encourage my friends to attend.
Thank you, Dr. Agu, for your lecture. I plan to meet with Dr. Karenga and deepen my understanding of the principles and how it relates to civil rights. Actually, Miles, I am willing to call a truce and we can go see Dr. Karenga together. But I'm warning you, Miles, if you get crazy, I'm going to be on your ass.
I can handle myself, Ryan. I got this.
Now, that would be amazing.
This has been a dream come true for me. I now have the knowledge and the swag.
Shukran, which means thank you, Dr. Agu.
Oh, I know the basic greetings in Islam. Ayak, which means for those students not knowing Islam, greetings. It means and to you. Now, Miles, get your assignment in by next Friday.
Thanks for putting up with me.
Miles, take it easy on your brothers and sisters.
Amen. Amen.
Hold on. Don't celebrate as of yet. I have other things to say. Class, one more thing before you go. I want to give you food for thought and an important takeaway message. Never forget the televised tragedies of the deaths of Black men and women across the nation, which has engaged a more diverse demographic to demand racial justice since the 60s civil rights movement. In many ways, our communities of color are visible to white America. This is our time to fight harder, to find viable solutions for everyone to embrace and celebrate our differences. How I see it, Kwanzaa is an infrastructure to wake up humanity and recommit to a mantra of unity, a movement of compassion and understanding, a platform for social, cultural, and inclusion. No matter what your political beliefs, change is necessary in spite of the pain suffered to get there. Do we want to complain, hide, or ignore what's happening, or do we utilize principles that are doable? Can the principles of Kwanzaa be the foundation of a global solution? I believe it can.
You try to choke me with the smoke that surrounds me, but my heart burns up brighter.
Hello, Dr. Agu. So good to hear from you. Are you safe? Tell me about your class.
Dr. Karenga, I watch my students transform into positive, productive, and caring human beings with a better understanding of our Black culture.
As I always said, we are compelled to rethink the familiar rhythms of our daily lives and to realign our lives to deal with the new realities we face. And we must do this without conceding or compromising our closeness and losing the soul-defining essence of who we are. We continue to suffer, not only from the pandemic of the coronavirus, but also from oppression in all its various and vicious forms. And still, our history and culture and the demands of our times call and compel us to be resistant to oppression and resilient and resourceful in our struggles to recover and care for each other in a righteously African way. This we must do.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for experiencing Kwanzaa, a celebration of unity with the Robey Theatre. We wholeheartedly thank you for supporting the Robey Theatre Company. If you have not done so, please consider donating to the Robey Theatre Company. Every dollar donated supports our theater arts developmental programs and productions. Also, your donations are tax deductible. Just visit www.therobeytheatrecompany.org/donation. Our production of Kwanzaa, a celebration of unity, will air again tomorrow night at 7 p.m. and each night of Kwanzaa through January 1st. Please tell your family and friends to visit the Robey Theatre website and register for one or all days. Now continue to enjoy a special performance by Adawe. Thank you again. Have a great evening.
you both holding up in all of this?
Fine.
It's the first time you've been able to see it.
It's
Yes.
wonderful. Wonderful.
Really, really great.
You've never seen it. You wrote it, but you've never seen it. So
No,
I hope you're pleased.
it was excellent. Wonderful
Great. It was
acting.
great. Yes.
You know, it's really a collaborative. Everybody knows this, I think, but it's a collaborative effort. The whole theater, presentation, development, plays, all of it. It's all a collaborative effort. But it starts with the playwrights. It always starts with the playwrights, those who conceive and tell the story. And thank you for all your work, first of all. Much appreciated. It's been almost a year, about a year, that all of this began. For those of you, I'll give you a quick rundown on how this all happened. Last year, about this time, I wanted to celebrate the holidays in a different way and celebrate the holidays through Kwanzaa, through an Afrocentric lens. And so I requested that playwrights submit scenes that would speak to Kwanzaa. Many did, several did, all wonderful works, but this was the best fit, what Marie and Barbara brought. And we talked about it and we worked on it, and they did the lion's share, obviously, of the work. I served as dramaturg and director of this piece, but the lion's share of this work is by these two playwrights. So that's the development, a year's worth of work to get to this point, and it's still a work in development for those of you who saw. So there were some hiccups, Wi-Fi wise, which is always it's dangerous. Wi-Fi, you never know what's going to happen with Wi-Fi, but things went, I think, fairly well on YouTube, and so here we are. Here we are. It's a piece of work that's what the plan was that we were going to produce the play this year, now, on this date. And because of the surge in COVID back in September, it just didn't deem safe to do it. So we're going to do this next year. We'll produce the play live at the Robey Theatre Company next year. And it's still a work in progress. It's always a work in progress until it's on its feet and everything is fixed. We'll sit down and talk about what's needed and what worked, which was a lot, I think, and what didn't work. So that's where we are right now, everybody. We can take some questions. Somebody's got their hand. That's Terry, one of the actors in it. Hi, Terry.
Terry's hand is up, and she also put a question in chat. So I'm going to read the question, and if it's the same, then maybe it'll accomplish that. Her question to the playwrights, to Barbara and Marie, is how did you two come together on this particular subject?
I'll let Marie answer that.
Well, aside from being a first-time playwright, I am a talent manager and film producer. So I got a call from one of the board members asking if I had any clients that had a story about Kwanzaa. I called around, I checked beyond my own roster, and no one had anything. So I thought about it, and because I know Dr. Karenga, I've met him many years ago, probably more than 12 years ago. I would give him a space where I worked for the city to have his Kwanzaa celebrations at no charge. So very much involved with that whole culture from way back when. And when the opportunity came up to kind of circle back around and tell the story a little differently about how Kwanzaa can be incorporated in our lives, I called Barbara and I said, look, I'm going to submit a scene, and would you help me and, be my co-writer on this? And Barbara and I know each other because she's worked on several projects that I've had, and I've worked on some of the projects she's had of developing, different scripts and whatnot. And I said, well, let's make it a classroom. Everybody's on Zoom because everybody's on Zoom anyway. And we didn't know if it was going to go live or be on Zoom as it is. So it worked out in that sense. and it gave us an opportunity to really develop the characters and their personalities, and to incorporate some little known, unknown history that you may have heard that was said throughout. But everything's based on true facts as far as the different stories that were mentioned and referred to throughout the lecture. So it was quite a journey, and it was about 3 weeks. Last year is when we turned in that scene, and a couple of months later, we found out that we were selected. And of course, we were in disbelief for a little while, but then it hit us and like, wow, this is such a honorable opportunity, and we thank Ben for his guidance and the actors for bringing our words to life.
Fantastic. Did you want to comment, Barbara, or no?
All I really want to say is that, you know, the same thing that Marie said is that she contacted me, and we had to write the one scene very quickly. And with nothing written down, we had to come up with something that would win Ben over. Although we've never met Ben, and I never knew anything about him, but that he was the producer of the Robey Theatre Company. And so, you know, it was a challenge, but we did it real quickly, and I was very pleased with it. But I thought, you know, we probably won't get it. But Marie says, no, don't give up hopes. So she was there. Don't give up hopes. You know, you never know what will happen, and she was right. Our scene was chosen, and here we are.
Yeah, we did it. We wrote it in, I think, what, 3 to 4 days, Barbara?
Yeah, it was very quick.
Barbara was like, oh, no way, I can't do it. I said, look, let's just, we can do this. We can do this. 7 pages, I think it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was. That's what it was. You know, there was so much good work. It was a tough choice. It was a tough choice. There are so many, talent and even gifted dramatists that Robey has a relationship with, and they keep coming. Thank God they keep coming, because the work is, I wish we could produce all of the work that is submitted, because I'd say about 80% of it is worth investing the budget, energy, work that it would take to produce these plays. And you know why that is because the Black experience has been underproduced. The Black experience over the decades that have encompassed American theater have always gotten pretty much the short end of the stick because of the Eurocentricity of the mainstream, and who has gotten the resources to develop and then to produce, because the developmental process is the part that a regular audience doesn't see. They don't see what it takes to get it to where it looks like this is just natural, real life. And to get it there, that's the work. So a lot of good work was submitted, and here we are. Any more questions? Well, I'm sure there must be some more questions.
I don't see any questions in chat right now. So while I'm waiting for another question, I'll just read a couple comments. Let's see. Torrin Floyd says, that was an amazing presentation. I appreciate the message. Cheryl Cromwell writes, I appreciated this too. So missed coming to the theater live, but thanks to Zoom, I was able to participate from out of state. And that's important. We can all join in from across the globe. And then as you see, the associate producer JC just wrote, just as an aside, everyone, this is not the only opportunity. We will be presenting Kwanzaa, a celebration of unity, every night between from starting tonight through the end of Kwanzaa, which is January 1st. So just go to robeytheatrecompany.org, and then you'll be able to register, and please share with all your friends and family this important message. All right, any questions in chat? And yes, that's the next 6 days. I see that question.
7 o'clock, right? 7 o'clock it is.
Yeah, 7 p.m. Except for the weekend, the Saturday will be 3 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. Any questions, anyone? Either raise your hand, you can come off mute, or you can type
Jeff
it in
Snyder
the
has
chat.
his hand up. No, he was just holding his, scratching his eye.
Okay.
You know, it should be said about, someone just mentioned about they really miss going to the theater. And yes, the theater has been actually just about worldwide. The theater has been dark for almost 2 years. And it's only been the last 4 or so months that some theaters in Los Angeles and nationally and internationally have reopened and are putting protocols, have put protocols in place and starting to produce again. And only in the past week to 10 days, you've probably heard that there are theaters that are shutting down again because of this new spike in COVID, this new variant. And so the theaters that have reopened, that includes from Broadway to black box theaters regionally, they have had to stop in mid-stride after reopening and having a play up and running, had to stop in mid-stride because of it's not safe. It's simply not safe. But the Robey Theatre Company will reopen after more than 2 years dark come April 9th. April 9th will be the world premiere of a commissioned play that has been in development for 2 years, a heated conversation. We'll open on April 9th. We'll run through May 14th, Thursday through Sunday, 24 performances. We'll also come July 16th, the Paul Robeson Theater Festival will resume. We do that every other year. Come fall, one of the Paul Robeson Theater Festival, the core of the Paul Robeson Theater Festival will be 5 plays that have been commissioned by the Robey Theatre Company to playwrights that we have a relationship with, and they are working busily on those plays now. And those plays will be read and streamed come that one weekend, July 16th, 17th, and 18th, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. One of those plays will probably emerge, and that play will be produced come fall in October of 2022. And then, of course, come December 26, 2022, we will mount Kwanzaa, Celebration of Unity. So we have 4 productions coming up in 22. So theater will be open once again. The Robey Theatre Company will be open once again. And keep your fingers crossed that COVID doesn't rear its ugly head in such a way that it stymies that. But we're moving forward, and theater will happen again for the Robey Theatre Company, and we hope you will all come.
Right. Here's a question that we can discuss. Was the racial element always part of the work? If not, when did it come into the plot? And specifically, I believe it's regarding the tension in the classroom and between the mother and son.
What do you mean, has it always been part of the plot? You mean the actors' diversity or the subject
When
about
you
past?
wrote it, did you always include the racial tension when you wrote the play?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And the mother and son was always intentional?
Yes.
Okay, that was my question.
Meaning that they didn't, that he didn't know that he was biracial, or?
Yes.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
all of that was in there, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
there was a lot we couldn't really incorporate because it is on Zoom. So, but the production, the way it was done tonight,
Absolutely.
I mean, I
Yeah.
could, you know, we saw what we said, you know, but there was another element that we had, and it was about the tattoo on Miles, but we didn't.
Right,
that was part
right.
of it.
Yeah. Very, very well done in terms of the writing. Thank you both. It was with Ben's help and others. It was, I don't want to say it was easy to act, but it gave you the structure, and it gave you the breadth and the space to bring that to life. And as you may notice, this was a topic that was close to my heart, since I've lived a quote biracial life all my life, including the bullying. And I have a brother, my actual brother, who is quote unquote, as we speak, passing for white, because he felt like he was so disrespected and, you know, disenfranchised from the community, which was not his core community, because we loved him like he was our brother. But outside of that, he found an injustice in his life. And so his way to handle it was, I'm going to live my life as a white guy. And nobody could turn him around on that. So so this particular storyline hit home for me in a lot of ways.
Well, I'm glad, and you did a wonderful job, you know, playing that role. I come from a family, I'm Creole. So, you know, you have one side that may look more Black than the other, but on my dad's side, I would say that, you know, 90% of his family, they were it was assumed that they were white. My grandparents only spoke French, and when you see them, there was nothing that could tell you that they were Black. When I was growing up, I didn't really understand why they all look so different. I mean, these are my dad's brothers, his sisters, first cousins, my grandparents, and I was in an identity crisis. And to overcompensate that, I did everything I could to wear my hair in a fro, which never always failed. I was wearing red, black, and green all the time. I was constantly cutting out articles about the Black Panthers. I wore a beret, and my parents were freaked out. So I think that by the time I was in middle school, I don't know if that was the cause of it, but we moved to West Covina from the heart of Los Angeles, which was predominantly, they had more oranges than they would have had Black people there. So I went to predominantly all white high school. And, but I mean, I learned to embrace all of that. But at one part of my life, I was a little bit like, I look so different. I didn't really think, you know, I don't know. I wouldn't say I felt adopted. I didn't feel adopted, but I understand what that's like when you sort of have, and they didn't shy away from that, but when it's assumed you're a certain race, I mean, they just don't correct it because it is easy. Especially coming from Louisiana, you know?
Yeah, and even now, even to this very moment, I'm still getting that awkward, almost a stutter when people want to ask me outside of my race, 99% of the time, because we know who we are within the race, but outside of the race, I'm still getting from time to time that awkward, they don't know quite how to say it, but the question is, what are you? And now I've got a whole, boatload of funny answers because it's just part of, what you do. It's like being short. You just have a whole, how tall are you? I say I'm 6'3", and it takes them a minute. And then it kicks in and I get a laugh. So I always go for the comedy. So, but the work was really there for me in the writing. And I thank you both, Barbara, as well as you, Marie. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. I see we have a couple more actors that are in the house tonight. Would any of the actors like to share their experience? And then if anyone has any other questions, to write in chat.
Is Christina still there?
Christina?
Christina plays Penny.
Oh, Penny. I don't know.
I don't think. Well, I'm just gonna real quick. She shared a story about when she went to a predominantly white college, how the N-word was written on her dormitory door. So that character in this in our play really brought back that hateful time, that she had to become an activist about it and let the school know. At that time, there was not really that kind of tolerance that was being enforced, but she pushed for that and to let them know it was not okay and it's not acceptable, and did her own sort of campaign about it. So it's in some ways, directly or indirectly, I think our story was able to touch people in ways that Barbara and I had no idea that it could do. And so we're hoping that, like I said, the takeaway is that some level of those principles can make you kind of stop a minute and how you want to present something else to people, a group of people, whether it's your work people, friends, or your friends themselves outside of work, or family members, or just people in general. Because like Terry was saying, you just want to say, what are you? I mean, back in the day, and sometimes I still get that when I travel around the world and stuff, they automatically think I must speak another language, or or you look like our people, it could be Cape Verde or some other, part of Africa that, I haven't been, but I've been to a lot of other parts of Africa. So it's interesting, just how people view other people when they're not used to being around folks that look a little differently. So we were happy to bring that diversity in. And Barbara was very instrumental in choosing the different backgrounds of the types of characters that should be included.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Yeah.
If there are no more questions in chat, no more individuals that would like to raise their hand, I'll turn it over to Marie, Barbara, and Ben for any final remarks.
Ladies, first, please.
I'd like to say thank you for bringing our play to Zoom. I'd like to thank the actors. They've done a wonderful job. They did excellent. And Ben, you did excellent in the production of the stage play. You did excellent. And so were your staff, excellent. I knew that you had done a good job, but when I actually saw it, I was so pleased. I just smiled and I laughed, and it was just so good. What you did, you took the written word and you turned it, produced it into something wonderful.
Thank you, Barbara. And before Marie or Ben, someone just raised their hand. Alma, would you like to ask your question?
Is that Alma Robinson?
Yes,
Alma Robinson.
hello.
Yes.
Hi, Alma. How are you? There you are.
Your biggest fans, Robey Theatre. Really happy to be part of this. I invited a bunch of people and I hope they'll find it on YouTube. A few of them came because my family has celebrated Kwanzaa historically, and it was great to have this as a refresher, but also to put it in context of current times. So I really thank all of you for that. The plot twists were incredible and exciting, and really gave me food for thought. Could we use Kwanzaa to educate all of these people who have such hateful attitudes towards us, towards our history and our future as a nation? We're not going to go anywhere unless we figure out how to work together. And certainly Mother Nature is going to kick us right off the scene if we don't figure that out. So I just wanted to congratulate all of you. I can see it's a big piece of work. Congratulations to the writers, the actors, to producers, to Ben, and everybody for pulling this together. It's really quite a feat. And then I just have a small logistical question. I noticed that there are additional dates that were in the Zoom calendar for the following days. Is it a repeat or is there something more coming?
Additional dates in the calendar?
Yeah, it said like it's gonna be presented for several more days during.
Oh, yes. The traditional Kwanzaa celebration is 7 days. It begins today, the 26th of December, and goes through January 1. So yes, your friends that you invited, those who couldn't make it, have 6 more opportunities to view this.
Oh, I see. The same
Right.
show.
It'll be
Okay,
7
great.
o'clock- It'll be 7 o'clock
Uh-huh.
for the next 5 days, and then on Saturday we have a 3 o'clock matinee.
Okay,
Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification.
you're
I
welcome.
think somebody had a question
Yes,
in the chat.
in chat
Is the
from,
person still here? Do you want to ask the question out loud?
I'll read it unless Forrest Wilson would like to ask their own question. The question is, how much did you invoke Kwanzaa principles in producing the play?
Well, consistently, we use those principles were the guidelines, really. I hope we were somewhat accurate.
Yes.
Right. I hope we were. You know, I always think that there, Kwanzaa is about what's right and what's wrong. It's about, and I always think that most grown folks, actually, most folks, not just grown, maybe even young people, even children more than grown-ups, know instinctively, intuitively what's right and what's wrong, how to behave, how you're supposed to treat each other, And it's only as we get older and obtain baggage that things become warped. And those things, those rights and wrongs become distorted because of a lot of things. But that's basically what Kwanzaa is how to basically support each other.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So we incorporated all of those principles in one way or another, and a lot of it was embracing each other's diversity and backgrounds and being learning to be respectful. That started to happen later. In the beginning, it was a lot of all types of feelings going on, and a lot of it could have been the racial tension that the entire world was going through. It could have been the stress of COVID or the fear of getting sick and dying. So a lot of emotions came out in the whole conversation, because amid all of that, they still had to go to school, they class, and as we know that when we have to do something in turmoil, it does cause the other issues of your life to come to bubble up. And Dr. Agru's point was to kind of keep them balanced, and by bringing up the different principles and explaining them to them and then giving them assignments, and that's how they were able to figure out, how can I do some of those things. We want to give the audience an example of some things they can do to follow some principles. Maybe not all of them, but some of them. And they're pretty easy, because a lot of people do give back to the community and do volunteer and work with nonprofits, but it's also working within the in your own home. But what I wanted to say, just as a closing about on my end, about what I thought about the production on a whole, is great job. And as a film producer, it almost looked like a little mini movie. And and we had the scenes come to life. I mean, it certainly could be that, and hopefully that's something that could happen down the road, because there hasn't been a Kwanzaa movie that I'm aware of. So we could be the first with Ben's direction.
All right.
Great job, as Dr. Karanga. You did a great job.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Oh, one thing, then, I wanted to talk about Adawi, the group that you saw at the end of the show, the musical group. I met them probably, I don't know, at least 12 years ago, if not longer. I had them perform for a Black History Month event I did for the Department of Water and Power. And they were also, at the time I had a talk show, and they came on my show. They are a wonderful group of ladies. I think there's one or two that are new to the group, but the core group is still the same. And when Barbara and I were writing this, I said to Barbara, I said, I'd love to incorporate, I mean, we're thinking it's going to be live, to have them on stage to, play drums while people are coming in, play during intermission, play at the end. But Ben was gracious enough to say, well, we could incorporate their music at least at the end. And they were excited about, being a part of it. But if we could do it live, they are, I mean, you just saw a video and that was probably from a while ago. But they are such a dynamic group of women from around the world. They're all from different parts of the globe, which just was perfect for this.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to thank them, and whenever they watch it, I want them to know that that this was just a great way to close, and the excitement and the energy they have, they're just amazing. So I wanted to just make sure we acknowledge them publicly. So thank you.
Robey, go Robey. 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 The Robey Theatre Company. Robey, go Robey. The Robey Theatre Company. Robey, go Robey. The Robey Theatre Company. Robey, go